What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and this is gonna be part 4 of what if Deku was an OPSCP and yeah, let's continue this. So like I said from the last video, Deku hears screaming. Then this is when he realizes that it's Umuraka that's screaming. So he destroys the robot and saves Umuraka. So he destroys the robot and saves Umuraka and takes her back and takes her to the nurse. This is when this is when Deku he this is when Deku goes to so Deku takes Umuraka to the nurse's office, and he does this. And this is when he goes home, and he's just waiting for him to get the for like him so he's just waiting so he can get like the message, the letter that he's in the entrance exam, that he's in UA. So yeah, when Deku does this, he like time skip to like whatever few months. He gets the letter, and he's and it says that he is in UA. And like while the entrance exam was going on, All Might was thinking, maybe I should pass on my quirk to him. But he don't know that Deku wants to be a villain, so yeah. So All Might Deku gets the letter, he goes to UA. This is when he introduces everyone, and Muraka comes up to him and says thank you, and he says you're welcome. I'm just trying to make this fast as I can because I'm getting tired, no lie. Yeah. Okay. So Deku Deku is Deku so Deku like a few days later, and yes, a few days later, because the training thing didn't even start before like the thing. So yeah. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna put this in right now. When Eraserhead says you better pass this or else I'm gonna kick you out of UA. So I'm just gonna say basically everyone passed, even Deku with an affinity like Umuraka. So yeah, I'm just gonna say that dude passed. And Deku is, and this is when like this happens. This is when the villains attack. They attack UA, and this is when Kurogiri teleports everyone to different places. Like, it's basically just like in the anime or in the manga if you saw it. And as this is happening, Deku sees like there's a bunch of villains in the water. He uses the tentacles of basically Slenderman, and he takes all of the villains out. Froppy and I'm just gonna say Stickhead Boy because I forgot his name. I don't know. I forgot his name. The dude that has the balls on his head. I forgot his name. They they basically uh they basically pass. I mean, they basically kind of won. And then this is when he throws the both of them into the water, and they ask Deku, "What was that for?" He says, "This is when Deku says, obviously I'm with them idiots." They're shocked by this because they didn't know that Deku was with the League of Villains. So this is when he pits like the villains back in the water. The villains then ask him, "What's up and why are you doing this?" He says, "Obviously I want to join you and this is the only way I'm going to show you how." So they're just like, okay. So they just go back to what they were doing. Froppy immediately doesn't know what to do because she can't go anywhere, right? Because she can't go anywhere. So yeah. So so that happens. Deku immediately, like, Bakugo, like this instantly goes over to like the villains basically. I'll say that or something. Hida is already telling everyone what's going on. And this is when Eraserhead is fighting is fighting Shigaraki. And this is when Deku pulls up and he basically holds down and he basically holds down Eraserhead. Like he holds down Eraserhead. He holds down Eraserhead to make sure he can't fight. Shigaraki is surprised by this because he doesn't even know what's happening. He then asks Deku, "What's up? And why are you doing this like the other villains did?" And he says he wants to join you and not UA. This is when this is when this is when and he says like the only way I can prove it to you is doing this and all that stuff. So yeah. This is when this is when this is when Eraserhead says, "You traitor, why would you want to join the League of Villains?" Then this is when Deku says, "Cause when I need the heroes, they didn't come." And then Eraserhead says, "What do you mean?" He says, "I was in that lab for I'm gonna say 15 years since like he escaped kind of like he escaped at the age of like what 3 I think. Yeah, I think he escaped at the age of I'm gonna say like he was there though like for the rest of his life, then he escaped and all that. So yeah, just get like half of the first part or second part out of your head for like a second. So yeah, I'm gonna say he was like there for like half of his life, like for 15 years, and now he's free. And then this is when Eraserhead remembers the kid that was in the SCP Foundation, and like he says, "You're that kid that was from the SCP Foundation." He says, "Yup, and I remember you, and I remember all of you, even All Might, and I'm here to kill all of you." Shigaraki is surprised because his hatred for like the heroes is like surprisingly really strong, and this just gets Shigaraki excited. This is when All Might comes and he sees what Deku is doing, and then he asks Deku what's going on. He says, "I'm here," and this is when Deku says, "I'm here to kill you." So he doesn't like really fight. He doesn't fight the Namu, but I'm gonna say he does, and like the Namu loses, All Might wins. this is when Deku starts fighting him, and then like Deku is starting to win because he knows that every time he knows every time All Might was getting hit, like on his side, that kept on weakening him. So he just kept on aiming for there. Then this is when all the heroes pull up, basically. They see this, they see All Might basically getting his butt kicked by a kid, by the League of Villains and a kid. So yeah, so this is when like the heroes try and stop him. Instead, instead, they instead like Deku just puts out more tentacles and just starts basically hitting half of all the heroes, and then the villains are saying, "Come on, it's time for us to leave now. We should just escape." So this is when all the villains escape. Kind of. This is when the villains like half of all the villains escape, cause like they were dealing with all the other like villains. Like half of the villains were dealing with the UA students, and they kind of lost. So yeah. And then this is when Bakugo shows up and says, "What's your deal?" And then Deku says, "Oh, I remember you. You're that kid that bullied me." And Bakugo is like, "What? What do you mean bullied you? I don't know you." Then this is when Deku says, "Really, you don't remember me, Kachan?" And then he remembers some kid with green hair, calling him Kachan as well. Then this is when he says, "Deku." This is when he says Deku, and then he says, "Yup, that's me." And then Deku just goes to the portal. So that happens, and then the villain, then the hero start questioning Bakugo, saying, "Are you with the League of Villains?" and all that. Like, are you with the League of Villains? Are you working for them? And then I'm gonna say like there's a hero that has a lie detecting quirk, and he can sense when someone is lying or not. And he basically answers all the questions with a yes, and he's telling the truth. Like, he's just telling the truth all the time. He doesn't lie throughout the whole thing of him being questioned. So I'm gonna say like a few weeks go by. This is when Toga and Dabi come in. As soon as Toga sees Deku, cause Deku was just on a mission, and he's covered in he's covered in a little bit of someone else's blood, but mostly his own blood, cause yeah, frick. So you didn't see anything. So this is when Deku really. So this is when Toga just starts fawning over Deku, and he just says, and Deku's just always rejecting her, saying, "Get off me," because he thinks she's crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna say. So like 5 days go by, and like Deku and those five, and ever since Deku met Toga, they've been hanging out more often. So this is when this is when Toga just asks Deku to be hers, and he just says, "Fine, whatever, just stop annoying me." But she gets annoyed even more, so he just questions himself. So he just questions himself, why did he say yes? So at that part, so I'm just gonna say, so this is when like this is when they're at the other training camp, and like the training camp in the forest, and basically, and this is when the villains and like stuff happens. The villains attack, and then before the villains attack, this is when Deku met with like All For One, and he gave him he gave him a healing quirk to make him heal faster and an enhancement quirk. So yeah, basically that's it. And then he says, if you complete this mission, I'll give you all my quirks, and ain't even or even like even like I'll even give you all for one. I'll even give you all for one my quirk. So yeah. So this is when, like, they're in the training camp, and basically everyone is just getting immediately, like, everyone in the whole entire camp were just getting bodied by Deku, because Deku is way stronger than them. The villains, they basically don't gotta do nothing. Deku just basically handling this like a pro. He don't gotta do nothing right now. He just basically killing all. He's just like basically bodying all of the heroes, all of the UA students, and I'm gonna say, like, while that was happening, All Might decided to give his quirk to to Bakugo, and I'm saying this because yes, he gave his quirk to Bakugo. So this is when Bakugo tries to do his. This is when Bakugo tries to do Detroit Smash on Deku, but this is when Deku just smacks Bakugo with his tentacle. So yeah, he just then asks them, he says, I feel all of your pain. Just come with me, and like you can live a better life with us. Like, we're gonna make a new world where heroes actually do exist. And then I'm just gonna say Bakugo joins because he doesn't want to get bodied anymore. No, forget it. Bakugo doesn't join. I mean, I'm gonna. Deku ends up. Deku ends up smacking Bakugo in the face with his tentacle. This is when Todoroki comes in and tries to freeze Deku's whole body, but Deku's like, nah. I mean, Deku's just like, no, like, it ain't happening. Not today. I mean, not today. It ain't happening today. So he just basically stops him from freezing his whole body, and yeah, basically the villains win. Villains win. They take control of the whole world, and this is when Deku has a kid with Toga, and yeah, end of story. Goodbye. Basically, so yeah, like, basically the villains won, and Deku completed his mission, and he got to have all for one's quirk, and he's basically like the most powerful villain in the world until he dies. Like, until Deku dies, he's the most powerful villain in the world. But he knows that once he dies, but Deku knows that once he dies, he's going to, before he dies, he's going to give all his quirks to his son. And yes, Deku didn't have a daughter, he has a son. And you name his son whatever you want to name him in the comments below, and tell me if you want another version of this, but with Deku's son in it. And yeah, so bye.